And welcome back to another Doctor Who series 11 review. This one was called Rosa, and it's episode 3. And a lot of mixed feelings about this one. It was a good episode. But I think, there are a lot of lines in there. It was pretty much the whole, white people, bad, and racism, and segregation, and stuff like that. And there was a moment where Yasmin and Ryan were hiding outside, and they were like, don't you notice that, we are always treated differently than the white people? Like, he's like, I'm always pulled over a lot more than my mates. And it's like, the evil white man. They don't say evil white man. But, I mean, in a time where people are already saying it's Dr. SJW, I think they could have waited to do this episode. Like, if they did it last season, it probably wouldn't have been a big deal. But now people are going to be like, yep, it's confirmed, they're SJW. I mean, it's a great story. The whole, Rosa Parks story and all that. Basically, there's a guy there, and he's trying to manipulate things. He can't actually kill her. He can't kill anyone. He can't harm anyone because he's basically got a chip in his head. It's kind of like inhibits the desire and ability to, inhibits. It's basically non-violent. He'll grab. He could grab you, but he can't actually kill you. So he kind of tries to manipulate things. So it's like, if the bus breaks down, then Rosa Parks can't get on it. Or, if the bus driver, who is the one who called the police on her, if he's not driving that day, she can't protest. Just little things. And, so we have Rosa Parks, of course. We get to see Martin Luther King, which is actually kind of cool. And it took a while to watch this episode, mainly because the thing kept freezing. I think it was just some media players online. Just some of them were just crappy. The first one I was using was really bad, and then I went to another one, and then it loaded no problem. I'm like, okay, well, I know not to use that one again. So I think I started watching it around 7:30, 8 o'clock, and it's pretty much close to about 10 o'clock right now. So it took about 2 hours to watch a 43-minute episode. What else? Basically, it's just them following around Rosa Parks, making sure everything goes according to plan. So they're in 1955. So the first thing I think of is like, what happens if them and Marty McFly cross paths? Because it's 1955. I think it's October 1955. Yeah, I think it's October when they arrive. So it's like, maybe they'll see Marty and Doc or Biff. But of course they were in Alabama, so there was no chance. That would be cool though. I'd like to see a Doctor Who Back to the Future crossover. But of course, Doc Brown can't really leave Hill Valley for some reason. Every time he makes the time machine, just kind of alternate versions of Hill Valley. But like I said, it was a good episode. I don't agree with the whole time that it came out. Like I said, if they did this last series, it would have been fine. But they decided to do this whole racism, white people are evil, stuff like that now, in a time where people are already thinking that the BBC has gone SJW. So had they waited, probably, because I can already see the reviews are like, just truth once and for all. But there were good messages, basically standing up standing up for what you believe in, not backing down, working hard for what you want. Pretty much don't give in to other people. If you have a belief, go with it, unless it's violent in some way. If you believe that people should be exterminated because they're a certain race, don't follow that dream. But if you want to change the world, then you can go ahead and change the world. There's also a saying pretty much that because of Rosa Parks, things changed where black people no longer segregated and stuff like that. And it kind of makes me think about all the black people now that are like, oh, black people are oppressed. No, you're not. Do you know what oppression is? If you guys were being oppressed, you wouldn't have had a black president. If black people were still oppressed, they would still be sitting on the back of the bus. They wouldn't be able to sit on the front of the bus, let alone run for president. They're not being oppressed. Usually the ones who are saying they're oppressed are the ones who live in the ghettos. The ones who choose to be there because free stuff, really. Free housing, free money. The ones who grow up without fathers. And that's not me personally. I'm just, statistically. But you live in a bad situation, move away from it. If you want a better life for your kids, move away from the place that's being a hazard, rather than saying, oh, it's the evil white man holding you down. But so I think that's pretty much one of the, I guess, a good message this was saying. It doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are. If you work hard enough for something, you can do it, and that you shouldn't let the color of your skin hold you down. I mean, that's a good message, So, I mean, out of a rating, like my normal ratings, 1 to 10, I give it about an 8.3. I mean, it's still high up there. The villain, I think he was just basically racist, and of course he was a white man, but he was typical greaser looking kind of guy, the leather jacket and the blue jeans, and he had a vortex manipulator and everything like that, and he was just trying to change things. And the confrontation at the end with him and Ryan, because they're trying to make it to where everything happens, because he was basically one step ahead of them the entire time. So he had his little Ryan had his little machine where basically it's like the vortex manipulator. He set it to sometime in the past. He's like, oh, you like the past so much, well, why don't you stay there for good? And he zaps them. And those cars, though, every time I see cars from like the 1940s and the 50s, I'm like, oh my god, those are amazing. The way cars should be, made out of real metal and sturdy. Unlike the aluminum ones, you just like bang it up a little bit, it's just like then you have to spend several $100s or just kind of yourself. Sorry, that was undenting it, take it and kind of pull it back out, because it's aluminum, so you can just kind of pull it back out. But they said the word Negro a few times, and they kept calling Yaz Mexican because she apparently looks Mexican, even though they didn't know she was actually, not Mexican. So they were just trying to push in the whole, racist America, 1950s, and blah blah blah. Thinking if there are any good lines in there. Usually the Doctor has some kind of good lines. But it was cool seeing Rosa Parks, and now the Doctor can say that her coat was fixed by Rosa Parks, because in order for her plan to work, they had to keep her at work a little longer, or at a normal time, really. So she took her coat, she just ripped it, because she knew that Rosa Parks was a seamstress, so they had Rosa Parks fix it. So now the Doctor's jacket was actually hand stitched together by Rosa Parks. We saw Martin Luther King, but not for long. He was in one scene. Pretty decent villain, considering he didn't actually hurt anyone that we know of. I mean, he was bragging about, oh, I killed like 2,000 people, or it's like, you want to know how many people the Doctor has killed? But he was interesting considering he couldn't kill anyone. She just pretty much took his manipulator and threw it on the ground, smashed it. He's like, yeah, can't do anything about that, can you? He grabs her and he can't do anything because he's incapable of It's almost like if the South Park movie where Cartman gets the chip, and every time he swears, he gets a shock. It's basically like that, and it prohibits your ability to do bad things. So I thought it was pretty clever. Um, but yeah, so what did I say? 8.3. Yeah, I mean, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more if I got to sit there and watch it start to finish. But no, it took me 2 hours to watch a 40-something minute episode because the player just kept stopping. I'm like, okay, is it my internet? Is it this? And no, it was just a player. It just sucked. But what do you guys think? What did you think of the episode? Uh, do you think it would have been better if they did this last series? Maybe. Do you think they are going SJW with this whole, you know, diversity thing and evil white man and this and that? Or is it just, whatever? It's like, it's Doctor Who, it's whatever. Let me know. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down, all that great stuff. And, yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.